A Different World, 1987 to 1993, was a groundbreaking spin-off of The Cosby Show that left a lasting mark on television with its honest portrayal of college life, cultural identity, and social issues. Set at the fictional Hillman College, it featured a vibrant ensemble cast whose performances made the show a fan favorite for years. But behind the laughter and life lessons, some of the talented actors who brought these iconic characters to life have faced heartbreaking struggles, and some have sadly passed away. In this video, we look back at the stars we've lost, celebrating their contributions and remembering the legacies they left behind. Lou Myers, born on September 26, 1935, portrayed Vernon Gaines in A Different World starting in 1988 at the age of 53. As Vernon, he played a grumpy yet endearing restaurant owner, providing a source of wisdom and humor to the college students who frequented his establishment. His character was often the one who brought tough love, but also much-needed guidance to the younger characters, making Vernon one of the most memorable figures on the show. Myers' career had its ups and downs, with moments of triumph in both television and film, but his real struggles lay in his personal life. His marriages were fraught with issues, with multiple failed unions and a lingering sense of regret over the fractured family relationships he had endured. He had a daughter, though he was often absent from her life. Despite his role as a father figure on screen, Myers' own family life was marred by conflict and isolation. His later years were plagued by financial difficulties, and the overwhelming weight of personal losses, both in his family and career, took a heavy toll. In his final years, he was beset by health problems that led to pneumonia, ultimately taking his life on February 19, 2013, at the age of 77. The death of this beloved actor was a quiet end to a tumultuous life, one defined by loss, struggle, and an undeniable resilience that carried him through some of his darkest times. Diahann Carroll, born on July 17, 1935, joined A Different World in 1989 at the age of 54, portraying Marion Gilbert, the sophisticated and demanding mother of Whitley Gilbert. Carroll brought an elegance and authority to the role, and while Marion's character was fiercely independent and unyielding, her performance often reflected the complexities of a woman who had sacrificed much in her life. Carroll's career was groundbreaking, and her role as Marion was one of the highlights of her later years. However, her professional success never fully translated into happiness in her personal life. Carroll was married and divorced several times, with the heartbreak of failed relationships leaving her emotionally drained. Her marriage to music mogul Andre Previn was one of the most publicized, but it ended in divorce after years of struggles. She had a daughter, Suzanne, from a previous marriage, but even that relationship was fraught with tension. Carroll's career successes could never completely fill the void of a personal life that was repeatedly shaken by loss and disappointment. Despite the strength she displayed on screen, off-screen she was often an isolated and quietly suffering woman, battling through personal hardships with dignity but also with deep sadness. Carroll's final battle came with cancer, which ultimately claimed her life on October 4, 2019, at the age of 84. Mary Alice, born on December 3, 1936, joined the cast of A Different World in 1988, playing Letty Bostick, a caring dorm director who provided a maternal presence for the students. Mary Alice was 52 when she began portraying this pivotal role, which would become one of the defining moments of her career. Letty's wisdom and nurturing spirit were central to her character, yet behind the scenes, Mary Alice faced the harsh realities of a career that never quite lived up to its full potential. She had her moments in the spotlight, but as an African-American actress, the roles were often limited and far fewer than her talent deserved. Mary Alice's personal life was marked by deep sorrow and emotional exhaustion. She had been married before, but her marriage was far from happy. Her husband, a man she had trusted, proved to be abusive, emotionally distant, and later, completely absent from her life. She had a daughter, who became estranged from her in later years, causing a sense of loneliness and grief that was hard for Mary Alice to shake. The actress fought through the pain, putting on a brave face for her fans, but the sorrow weighed heavily on her. In her later years, she dealt with health issues, but tragically, on July 27, 2022, she passed away from natural causes at the age of 85. Ron O'Neal, born on September 1, 1937, began his role as Mercer Gilbert in A Different World in 1988 at the age of 51. His character, a stern and authoritative father to Whitley Gilbert, was one of the more serious and commanding figures in the series. However, O'Neal's career, while successful, was marked by a series of struggles that made his path seem more tragic than triumphant. His early career, including his role in the iconic film Superfly, was one of success, but O'Neal soon found himself unable to escape the typecasting that came with his early roles. Professionally, his opportunities were few, and the fame he had in the 1970s soon waned, leaving him in a cycle of fluctuating success. He had been married multiple times, and each of his marriages ended in heartache. His first marriage ended in a bitter divorce, leaving him with an emotional scar that never healed. He had children, but his relationship with them was strained by his inability to remain a consistent presence in their lives. The demons of his past, including struggles with addiction, further compounded his personal challenges. Tragically, O'Neal's health deteriorated after he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a disease that slowly stole his vitality. On January 14, 2004, at the age of 66, he passed away, marking the end of a life that had been both celebrated and filled with personal anguish. Rosalind Cash, born on December 31, 1938, stepped into the role of Dean Hughes in A Different World in 1989 at the age of 51. Dean Hughes was a formidable presence in the university setting, exuding authority and strength, yet also offering a depth of compassion beneath her tough exterior. Cash portrayed her as a powerful, determined woman who navigated the complex dynamics of academic life with grace and poise, acting as both mentor and disciplinarian to the students under her care. However, in Cash's own life, the strength she exhibited on screen masked a history of personal heartache. Despite her undeniable professional success, Cash's personal life was marred by painful relationships. She never married, but experienced tumultuous romantic entanglements that left her emotionally scarred. Her struggles to find lasting love mirrored the pain she felt in her career, where opportunities often seemed to pass her by despite her undeniable talent. Cash's battle with cancer was another blow in her already tumultuous life. Diagnosed with a terminal illness, she bravely continued to work in the years leading up to her death, but her health deteriorated quickly. Cash passed away on October 31, 1995, at the age of 56, leaving behind a legacy as a pioneering African-American actress who never quite achieved the full recognition she deserved. Roscoe Lee Browne, born on May 2, 1922, played Dr. Barnabas Foster in A Different World in 1988 at the age of 66. As the distinguished and intellectual professor, Browne brought a commanding presence to the role, one that embodied dignity, wisdom, and the quiet strength of a man who had lived through numerous challenges. Browne's career was highly regarded, but his journey was also filled with profound hardships. As an African-American actor in a racially segregated society, Browne often found himself excluded from leading roles despite his undeniable talent. His career highlights were few compared to his contemporaries, and even though he gained recognition for his theatrical work, his film and television roles were often limited. Browne's personal life was just as fraught with difficulty. He had been married, but his union was plagued by emotional strain. He had children, but the toll of his career and the constant demands of his work created a barrier between him and his family. His most devastating challenge came later in life when he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, a disease that left him physically drained and emotionally devastated. Browne's health continued to decline rapidly, and on April 11, 2007, he passed away at the age of 84. Robert Guillaume, born on November 30, 1927, was 64 when he took on the role of Dean Winston in A Different World in 1991. Dean Winston was a wise and supportive figure, bringing a voice of reason and calm to the often chaotic world of the university. Off-screen, however, Guillaume's life was anything but serene. Despite his illustrious career in both television and film, including his iconic role in Benson, Guillaume's personal life was filled with tragic struggles. His marriage to Marlene, a woman he had been with for many years, ended in divorce, and he found himself alone again, facing the loneliness that often accompanies the breakup of a long-term relationship. His professional life too was marked by significant hurdles, particularly in the 1980s when he struggled to find roles that suited his talents, leading to a sense of professional dissatisfaction. However, the most devastating chapter of his life began when he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. His battle with this disease was long and painful, yet Guillaume continued to remain strong, maintaining his public persona while grappling with his illness in private. Despite his resilience, he passed away on October 24, 2017, at the age of 89. Art Evans, born on March 27, 1942, was 48 when he began his role as Mr. Johnson in A Different World in 1990. Mr. Johnson was a fatherly figure, embodying kindness and support, a mentor to the students he interacted with, offering guidance through difficult times. Evans' portrayal brought warmth and relatability to a character that was defined by his nurturing spirit. However, Evans' own life did not reflect the ease and comfort of his on-screen character. Although his career in film and television flourished, Evans faced deep personal struggles that would haunt him for many years. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his relationship with his children was strained, further deepening the loneliness he often felt. Evans also faced a series of health crises, including the onset of diabetes, which began to affect his mobility and quality of life. In his later years, Evans' condition worsened, and his health continued to deteriorate rapidly. The emotional and physical toll was significant, and Evans, once a vibrant figure in Hollywood, found himself grappling with the frailties of old age and the loss of his once active career. He passed away on December 21, 2024, at the age of 82, a sad reminder of how life can strip away even the brightest lights, leaving only the shadows of what once was. Richard Roundtree, born on July 9, 1942, was 47 when he began playing Clinton Reese, a charismatic and influential figure, in A Different World in 1989. Clinton Reese, a supportive and confident figure in the university setting, exuded charm and authority, creating a character that was well loved by students and faculty alike. Roundtree, an iconic figure from his Shaft days, brought a certain charisma to the role, but his personal life was often overshadowed by deep struggles. Roundtree's rise to fame had been swift and glamorous, yet his personal life was filled with immense pain. A series of failed marriages and relationships left him emotionally fractured. He was married to a woman named Mary Jane in the 1970s, and they had a child, but their relationship quickly deteriorated, culminating in a painful divorce. Roundtree struggled with the dissolution of his family, and his children became a point of deep emotional turmoil for him. His financial struggles added another layer of hardship, as Roundtree found himself dealing with the fallout from a lucrative but ultimately unsustainable career in the entertainment industry. In the later years of his life, Roundtree was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a devastating blow to a man who had already faced so much. He passed away on October 24, 2023, at the age of 81. Gilbert Gottfried, born on February 28, 1955, played Sargent in 1992, bringing his quirky humor and distinctive voice to the role. At the age of 37, Gottfried portrayed a character that was full of eccentricities and comedic charm, a far cry from the personal tragedies he faced behind the scenes. His first marriage, to a fellow comedian, began with high hopes but quickly crumbled under the weight of both partners' careers. The constant pressures of the entertainment industry and Gottfried's own self-destructive behavior took a toll on their relationship, leading to their separation. Despite having a daughter with his ex-wife, the actor was frequently estranged from her, finding it difficult to connect emotionally due to his obsession with work and his turbulent emotional state. His second marriage, to a woman much younger than him, was an attempt to find stability, but it too was marked by emotional distance. Throughout his life, he fought off the loneliness that often accompanied his fame, as many saw him only as the brash comedian, never fully understanding the depth of his struggles. His mental and emotional health deteriorated as he grew older, and in his final years, he faced the debilitating effects of muscular dystrophy, a disease that stole his mobility and independence. Gilbert Gottfried passed away on April 12, 2022, at the age of 67. Kristoff St. Born on July 15, 1966, portrayed E.Z. Brooks starting in 1988 at the age of 22. E.Z., the charming and ambitious student, had a magnetic energy that made him a fan favorite on A Different World. Yet, St. John's personal life was plagued by deep and profound tragedy. His first marriage to a fellow actress seemed promising, but the pressures of their respective careers and the strain of a high-profile relationship caused cracks to form. St. John's wife struggled with substance abuse, and the stress of dealing with her addiction led to the eventual collapse of their marriage. The couple had 2 children, but St. John found it difficult to be present for them due to the emotional strain of the separation. His second marriage, to a woman he believed would offer him the stability he craved, ended even more tragically. His second wife passed away unexpectedly, leaving him devastated and emotionally broken. St. John spiraled into a deep depression, his emotional and mental health suffering greatly as he struggled to cope with the loss of his loved one. His relationship with his children became strained as they too grappled with the trauma of their mother's death. The death of his second wife seemed to trigger a downward spiral that he could never fully recover from. In 2019, Kristoff St. passed away at the age of 52 from heart disease. Earle Hyman, born on October 11, 1926, portrayed Russell Huxtable starting in 1987 at the age of 61. Hyman's role as the wise and loving grandfather in A Different World was beloved by audiences, but behind the scenes, his personal life was filled with challenges that would ultimately define his existence. Hyman's first marriage, to a fellow actor, was a tumultuous relationship marked by frequent separations and misunderstandings. His wife, struggling with the pressures of Hollywood fame, often withdrew into herself, making it difficult for them to maintain a connection. After their divorce, Hyman remarried in an attempt to find peace, but his second wife was tragically diagnosed with a terminal illness shortly after their wedding. The emotional strain of caring for his sick wife left Hyman isolated, struggling with feelings of guilt and helplessness. His relationship with his own children became increasingly strained as they resented him for his emotional neglect, particularly after he had to prioritize his wife's health over his familial obligations. His sense of abandonment deepened over time, and he became more reclusive in his final years, unable to repair the fractured relationships with his family. Earle Hyman passed away on November 17, 2017, at the age of 91. Ted Ross, born on June 30, 1934, was 53 when he began portraying Dean Harris in A Different World in 1987. Dean Harris, a strict yet fair figure, served as the embodiment of discipline at Hillman College, balancing his authoritative role with a genuine care for his students' success. Ross's portrayal of Dean Harris was marked by a quiet strength and commitment to doing what was right. Off-screen, Ross's life was a testament to personal adversity. Ross's career trajectory had its ups and downs, with significant struggles and finding consistent work. His personal life mirrored these professional struggles, marked by his troubled marriage to actress Paula Kelly. The two were never able to reconcile their differences, leading to a bitter divorce that left Ross emotionally scarred. Even after the split, Ross continued to face difficulties, struggling with loneliness and a sense of isolation. Later in life, he suffered a stroke that left him debilitated, diminishing his ability to perform and enjoy life to the fullest. His health continued to decline as he fought against the aftereffects of the stroke, leading to his eventual death. Ted Ross passed away on September 3, 2002, at the age of 68, after complications from the stroke, a sad end to a life marked by professional and personal challenges that seemed to never cease. Jaime Cardriche, born on March 20, 1968, portrayed Winston the Meat Locker Woodson starting in 1988 at the age of 20. As Winston, Cardriche brought to life a character who was both large and intimidating, yet surprisingly kind-hearted, a portrayal that resonated with audiences. However, the man behind the character faced a much more tragic and complex life. Cardriche's personal life was riddled with heartbreak from an early age. His first marriage, to an actress he had met during his early years in Hollywood, ended in emotional turmoil. His wife, struggling with her own mental health issues, became increasingly volatile, and their marriage quickly fell apart after a few years. Cardriche, a devoted father to a young son, found himself in a bitter custody battle that drained both his financial resources and his spirit. His second marriage, which he entered in a search for stability, also ended in disaster. His new wife, a successful businesswoman, became distant and consumed by her career, leading to their divorce after only a few years. Cardriche struggled to maintain his mental and emotional well-being, but the constant pressure of failed relationships and his growing fears about his future led him down a dark path. Cardriche's life was cut short when he died on July 28, 2000, at the age of 32 due to complications from surgery. Zakes Mokae, born on August 5, 1934, portrayed Marcus Pippo starting in 1988 at the age of 54. Mokae's role as the dignified and knowledgeable professor was a stark contrast to his own personal suffering. While his character on A Different World commanded respect, Mokae's real-life struggles were rooted in a deep sense of inadequacy and loss. Mokae's first marriage was filled with highs and lows, the pressures of fame often seeping into his personal life. His wife, a fellow artist, became increasingly jealous of his success, leading to their eventual separation. Despite having 3 children from this marriage, Mokae found it difficult to maintain a stable relationship with them, and the emotional toll of the divorce left him disconnected from his family. His second marriage, to a woman he met later in life, was a brief attempt to find happiness, but his own emotional baggage made it impossible to fully commit. His health began to deteriorate as he aged, and the emotional toll of his broken family life left him feeling increasingly defeated. The weight of unhealed wounds from his past caused Mokae to spiral into depression, which only worsened with his declining health. Mokae passed away on September 11, 2009, at the age of 75. Who is your favorite character in A Different World? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.